as well as a panelist on Divi Chat. Let's see how that's a weekly live YouTube show. Wow. He now lives in Austin, Texas with his wife Courtney and hyperactive dog Murphy. Tim Striffler. When making skill checks, they always aid another. Put your hands together for David and Tim.
Thank you, guys. My name is David Blackman. I think our first thing that we were going to do is do an introduction, but I kind of feel like that might be somewhat redundant. But
yeah, when we were creating the slides, we forgot that we would be introduced professionally. So
we're going to go over kind of what we're going to cover in this talk. We're going to do an introduction of ourselves, our companies, tell a little bit about us. You know, where do you start if you want to build a product and sell it in the WordPress space? We're going to talk about product development, and we're also going to cover marketing. Tim is going to take the next 4 points.
And then we're going to talk about product support, because you can't have a product company unless you can support the products. We're going to move on to continuous improvement and innovation, because no WordPress product is ever completed. Strategic partnerships and integrations, and then I think a really important one is our recommended tools, what powers the whole system.
Before we dive off, I do want to say this is a discussion. So if there are questions, can you guys hear me okay in the back? Are we talking loud enough? Great, thank you. I think we all should scream like super loud, so everybody in the other room will think, man, we need to come in here with these guys. So when we do something great, just do that. And so if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Raise your hand, throw stuff at Tim, you know, and we'll answer them. We'll try to do our best.
Yeah, so since there's 2 of us up here, I can talk about David a little bit, and he can talk about me. So David, and again, this feels kind of redundant because Dave already announced this, but David is the co-founder of Aftergrowth Studios, a partner at Divi Space, a co-host of WP the Podcast, WP Gears, and Divi Chat.
Awesome. And this is my co-pilot, Tim Striffler. We do quite a few things together. Obviously, we co-host the daily podcast, WP the Podcast, where we cover WordPress topics, everything from business to development to technical topics to social, whatever it is, anything WordPress we talk about. It's daily, 10 minutes, really quick, digestible podcast episodes that y'all should all be listening to and giving us 5-star reviews so everybody can find us. So, but Tim Striffler was...
Sorry. Let's look at used to this clicker here.
Yeah.
My bad.
You heard all the things that he's a part of. We're partners. We're competitors in the WordPress product space. Tim has products for the Divi theme. We have products for the Divi theme and for WordPress. And technically, we go after the same customers and stuff. But we've decided to work together to help grow each other's businesses and stuff. And we found out that it works really well. So we started a podcast together. And here we are. I do want to give a shout out, the other half of Aspen Grove Studios, Corey Jenkins in the Divi Space shirt right there.
I would actually like to ask if Tim has any other shirt.
Yeah, that is. Sorry, that's a little bit awkward.
Click it, Tim. Click
I'd
it.
like to point out that Corey's live streaming this entire hour-and-a-half presentation, so hope your arms don't get tired.
Yeah, somebody pour water down there.
So I'm going to give you a quick, brief history of myself and where I've come with WordPress in the last, it'll be 5 years in September. I found WordPress for the first time I ever looked at it was in September of 2013, so my anniversary is coming up. I fell in love with this platform. I had no clue. I didn't know CSS, I didn't know PHP, I wouldn't consider myself a developer or a designer. I would consider myself more of a marketer and a business person, and I had a friend, I've always been a tech guy, and I had a good friend of mine who was a retired dentist who was an aspiring children's book author. Nobody knew who he was. I thought it might be a good thing for him to do to blog. And he was, at the time, 75 years old, and he said, I don't know how to build a website. And I said, well, I'm a tech guy. Let me take a look at some stuff and see what I can find out. And I found WordPress, and I thought, oh, wow, I I can buy a theme and I can manipulate it enough because I'm technical enough and build you a website. So on the day that I was starting to build that website, I went to a coffee shop, sat down, opened up my laptop. A mutual friend of Phil and I's came in. His name was Will. Will said, "Hey Dave, what you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to build a website for Phil, you know." And he said, "Really?" He said, "Man, I'm on the water board in Opelousas. We need a website. Can you come give us a presentation in 2 weeks?" And I said, "Absolutely." And, you know, because I had looked at WordPress for about an hour and figured I was an expert. And that's a true story. That was my first client, and I was honest with them. So look, I don't know anything about building websites, but it seems like I probably could build something and save you some money. And that's where I started. And that was the company that I formed, Aspen Digital, and I did local websites for clients in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is where I'm from. In 2015, Corey and I started Aspen Grow Studios. We started creating products for Divi. Elegant Themes is, you know, Divi. Nick Roach is in the front row. He's the founder. Sorry, Nick. I know you don't like the spotlight, but I have to kind of do it to you. We started creating products. We started Divi Chat, this weekly podcast, which if you watch Divi Chat or if you've ever seen it, you'll notice quite a few faces in the audience here are on that podcast, and it's awesome. In 2017, last year, we acquired Divi Space, which is another company run by a very good friend of ours, S.J. James. He came to work with us in our company, and Divi Space went under Aspen Grow Studios. Tim and I started WP the Podcast, a daily WordPress podcast. Potent Plugins is a WordPress product company that focuses in WooCommerce. Jonathan Hall, who started that company, was a back-end developer who worked for us 5 hours a week. I figured the only way that I could get him to come and work for our company is if I buy his company. And so now he's our lead back-end developer, and he works for us full-time. And these rolled into Aspen Grow Studios. So I guess Aspen Grow should probably be like up the top, but I'm not that quick thinking. And then Tim and I launched WP Gears a couple of months ago, WPGears.com. And that'll be a place where we produce a lot of WordPress content. And, well, that was a lot of stuff to say, Tim.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah, your turn.
So I don't have as many bullet points on the timeline here. No acquisitions like David's company. But I discovered WordPress in 2011. I was working at a SEO company as an intern. And I discovered the power of blogs and WordPress. And I was actually fortunate to, the day I discovered WordPress, I discovered Elegant Themes. So again, to put you in the spotlight, Nick, thank you for that. And so I kind of dabbled with WordPress on the side. I had no dreams of like creating websites full time or anything like that. It was kind of like a very side project. And as these things kind of happened, you know, a friend would learn like, oh, you know how to create websites. Can you help me with my new company? And so I started creating more and more websites on the side. And then I got to the point in my full-time job where I was ready to stop working for someone else, and I really wanted to work for myself. I studied business entrepreneurship in college, and so I knew at some point I would want to have my own business and you know, kind of escape the 9-to-5 grind and have the freedom to work when I want, wherever I want, sort of thing. And so 2015, I started my own company full-time doing client service business. And most people, you would kind of expect that I discovered WordPress in 2011, and then I went full-time in 2015. And in between that time, I was building up a client base and you know, had like this steady stream of work. But that's not what happened at all. I actually didn't really have any recurring clients because I wasn't planning on doing websites full-time. And so I kind of dove in head first and started my business. So that was 2015, and around that time, I started dabbling with creating products for the Divi theme framework. And so if you're not familiar with Divi, Divi has become the most popular WordPress theme in the world. And I think a part of that, and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because of the big third-party ecosystem. And so anyways, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Big stare.
Love you, man. Love you too, Nick.
So I had a product that I created for a client site. It was a really small little, it was kind of a dumb product. All it would do is when the user scrolls, it would swap the logo. So you'd have a logo at the top of the site, and then you'd scroll, and then it would, it would change the logo. really cheesy product, and I thought, you know what, I already have it built, I'm going to put it out there. And $5 product, not a lot sold, but it sparked an idea that like, hey, even though Divi is only one theme, there's a huge market of Divi users here, and I could like build a business around here. And so 2016, I started Divi Life, which creates Divi products and for the Divi theme, as well as tutorials and so forth. And then David already touched on Divi Chat and WP the podcast, so I'm not going to spend time there. And then same with WP Gear. So that's kind of my story. So we figured we should kind of share a little bit about ourselves before we dive into the meat. And so, yeah, actually there's a little quote David wants to talk about.
Yeah, whatever good things we build end up building us. And what I've discovered through this process of building this company, Aspen Grove Studios, is that the people that are in the company and the team are the most important aspect, you know. And it's been really kind of interesting to see how it's evolved over the last few years. I really wasn't expecting us to be where we're at, or even creating products. I fully expected to be in the client services business. But we, you know, like Tim was talking about, I built something, or we built something that to scratch our own itch, and found out that 10,000 other people wanted that same itch scratched. So it opened up an entire realm of possibilities that I didn't even think was possible. And what's happened is, what has been the most beautiful thing that's happened is that the team that has been responsible for building this company and those products and stuff have shaped how I view, you know, my whole life and the way that I work with those people and stuff. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I thought it was a great quote. And, you know, I'd be all like philosophical, and we probably need to talk about building WordPress products. So, yeah.
Yeah, so before we kind of dive into the meat, an important question is why products? And I think kind of the short answer, the short summary is, when you do products, you can stop selling time for dollars and start getting recurring revenue. And so both of us doing, you know, the typical client service work where you're billing on a project basis, and once that project is done, unless you have maintenance agreements in place, that's kind of like, you know, the client's not going to need another website for, you know, at least a year. And so with products, you can create something once and sell it over and over again. Obviously, there's product support, and we're going to talk about that. But for me, that was kind of like the holy grail, being able to create something and sell it over and over again. And so with WordPress, obviously, you can do that, and it opens up so many possibilities with considering the fact that WordPress powers 30% of the internet.
All right, we put this here first, way before we even talk about what you're going to need to do to build products and stuff, because this is very, very important. Obviously, if you're going to build products, you need to have somebody to buy them. You know, so you need to be thinking about building an audience from the get-go. I guess because I was more of a business and a marketing side of things, I wasn't really focused on development or design. I knew the importance of having an audience. I really wasn't sure that I would need an audience one day, but for me it was, well, I might as well start growing an audience and we'll see what happens. So email acquisition is huge. I jokingly say this, I don't jokingly say it, I really mean it. If I could send an email every hour, I'd send an email every hour. Because every time I send an email, the sales on our stores go through the roof. And it doesn't have to be emails. We do not send emails, come buy our products. We send emails about how to solve pain points in WordPress, valuable information. But what happens is they come over to our website, they read this great article to solve this problem that they have, and they see, oh, he's got this product over here, let me check it out. And they end up buying our products. It's really kind of crazy how it happens. But you want to start grabbing that user base immediately if you're going to go into the product business. Start building the audience. It's very important.
Yeah, and back, I don't know how many years ago it was, but when social media started to like blow up, people thought that social media was going to replace email marketing, and email marketing would kind of phase out, but that hasn't happened. And one of the reasons why is with social media, you're competing with like Facebook, for example. If your business posts something on Facebook, you're competing with all your friends' friends, and then all these other businesses, and so it's very noisy. It's like, doesn't really matter how many followers you have organically on Facebook. A small very small percentage are going to see that. But with email marketing, you do an email blast, it's going to everyone's inbox for the most part. There are caveats with Gmail and so forth, but it's a direct line of communication to your audience. And so David and I have actually had conversations at WordCamp US with pretty big plugin companies that have like huge user bases of people that use their free version on the WordPress repository. And then we asked them about their email list, like, well, we just started building it, it's only a couple thousand, and they might have like a user base of like 500,000 or a million in the repository, but without that email list, it's hard to remarket to those customers.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing, and you own it. It's the only thing that you own 100% that you can take. Facebook changes their stuff, social media changes. There's nothing you can do about that. You're screwed if they make changes to it. So with an email, you own that, 100%. So it's a really big deal.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we wanted to talk about this first because even if you don't have a product yet, you can start building your brand, building your audience and email list. And so, it's going to look different depending on kind of what your long-term goals are. For me, I started creating tutorials and helping people with the Divi theme. And so I would build my email list with people that wanted to know more about Divi and using Divi. So then when I did launch products, I could sell those products to them. And so, again, it's going to look different depending on, kind of what niche you're in. But, nonetheless, building that email list is huge.
Yeah, and it also, building credibility, trust, with your users by putting out relevant, valuable content as opposed to, hey, come buy my stuff is really, really big. And then, of course, Google, Bing, they all love that stuff when you're putting lots of valuable, relevant content out there. So if people are looking for potential products that you have, it's going to benefit you greatly in stuff. So, as I said, we started out in the product business by accident. We scratched our own itch, and Elegant Themes' theme Divi had, to me it was because I wasn't a web developer and I didn't come from school or anything. Sorry, Nick, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, I promise. I'm glad you didn't do this. But in order to change the footer credits in the Divi theme, at the time, they've since changed it. You had to go into a footer.php file, which I didn't know PHP. I had to find these odd-looking characters, and the only reason I knew that it was the right thing to do was because the words matched at the bottom of the website, and I thought, well, I wonder if I change this, what's going to happen? I could put, instead of powered by WordPress, I could put created by, at the time, Aspen Grove Studios, and it worked. So I was like rocking along, and I thought, man, this is awesome, and the next thing you know, I was like, man, this is not awesome. Because I've got to go into every footer.php for all the clients' websites and do all this stuff and manually do this. And I thought, well, what if we just write, have our developer write this plugin, called it the Divi Footer Editor, to where we used the WYSIWYG editor in WordPress, which, just type and you could style it, center align it, bold it, hyperlink it, and we added a dynamic shortcode that would auto-update the year every year. And it was like, man, this is awesome. And then all my buddies started saying, that is pretty awesome. Can I use it? Are you going to sell that? Man, that's great. And I thought, sure, why not? Let's try it out. And like I said, that was our first product, and it was in the summer of 2015. I think that little product, I think we started selling it for like $7 or something, and it's sold over 10,000 copies in 2 years. So it was like, I guess more than just my friends wanted that product. So, and then it was just like Tim said, with the thought of the screaming client over here that is demanding so much of my time and attention, and I could focus energies and produce revenue this way was just kind of phenomenal. So
yeah, absolutely. And I realized we were mentioning Divi a lot because that's a big part of our story.
Yeah.
And we're big fans. But yeah, scratching your own itch is huge because a lot of times if someone else has that problem, or if you have that problem, the chances are someone else has that problem too. For me, my first 2 products weren't really that way, but my best-selling product, it's basically a pop-up builder that you use the Divi Builder to create. And that's something that I wanted. I had a client that really wanted it, and a way to be able to update a pop-up with their daily specials, and I wanted an easy way to do it. So naturally, a page builder would be a really easy way. And so I created the product, and then it's become my bestseller because it scratched my own itch. It also scratched a lot of other people's too.
Is it me?
Yeah.
You're going to tell them what minimum viable product is.
That's right. So a lot of times when you're creating a product, a pretty big buzzword in this space is MVP. You know, oh, just come out with your MVP, which is minimum viable product. And essentially what that is a product that is the minimum version in order to solve that problem. So it helps identify quickly if there's an audience. And so a lot of times you can spend lots of time and resources developing a product that no one wants, and a lot of companies make that mistake. And so if you come out with an MVP, it basically solves that minimum problem to test to see if there's an audience, and see if there's a wide enough scope to attract a wide audience as well.
Yeah, there's a wrong way and a right way to MVP, and we kind of put a diagram in here, which is this is building the entire product, like Tim said, and I think we accidentally did an MVP. We weren't really looking to get into the product space and stuff, and found out there was an audience. And when we started creating products, we wasted some time and money on building products that we thought were fantastic and great, but nobody else did, and they just didn't want to buy them. So, testing your market and finding out, what's going to work is really, really important. So.
Yeah, so that's the wrong way. The right way is basically you just focus on the functionality and usability, making sure it solves that problem. You don't make sure that it has all the design aspects, it looks exactly the way you want it to. It might not be as exactly reliable as it should be, but you solve the problem to test to see if there's an audience for it, if people actually want it, and that's the right way. You kind of fast track that. Nathan has a question.
I do. So on the discovering if there's an audience quickly, I noticed maybe on your site a little bit, but definitely on Divi Space, like when SJ was doing some of his early products, it seemed like some of the products that you guys are all now selling together began as like code snippets in a blog post, and then he was like, oh sweet, this blog post is getting a lot of traction, I'm going to formalize this into a plugin.
Absolutely.
Is that a model that you've kept and found that works
absolutely.
well?
Yeah. I mean, if you get into an audience and you get into, Facebook's a great place because there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users in Facebook groups in WordPress. So if you consistently hear a pain point and you solve that pain point, put a tutorial up, put a blog post out, and you put the code, what you're going to find out is I'm going to try to answer your question, but I didn't even know I was going to say this stuff, but it's really, really important. People are really scared, if they have a product idea or something, of giving things away for free. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to, monetize this if I give them the code and stuff. We would put the code into the blog posts and stuff, show them how to do it, and found out that not everybody wants to do it. They would rather just buy the product and stuff. So we would use this method to decide which products we wanted to build, because whoever screamed the squeakiest wheel gets the most attention, right? So if a bunch of people are asking for something, maybe you got something there. Put out a blog post, watch the analytics, see if it comes to it, and then build a product.
I can speak to that too. It was, I think, October 2016. Sorry, question, we'll get to that in a second. I came out with a tutorial that showed people and gave them the code to insert a promo bar into their website. The promo bars, it kind of drops in and it'll say like, hey, 20% off, and then buy now. And so it gave the code away, and I even created a generator where they could put in their own text, put in their color, and then click generate, and it would generate the code for them. And then it was also an email acquisition tool, build my email list. But that was a free tutorial. I gave them everything for free, but I had people in the comments saying, hey, you should make this into a plugin so I don't have to touch the code. And so I did. Eventually I released a product called Divi Bars, and it's now my second most popular plugin, even though on my website there's a free version. And so basically, to your point, Nathan, I was able to test to see that, hey, this is not only what people want, but they don't want to touch the code to do it. And so, it kind of proved that there's an audience for that particular product. You had a question back there?
Yeah, on that note of the MVP, I've done that as well before with the plugin, but then how do you handle competition? It's an open source space. Who's to say that you don't put, 25% of your idea out there? Granted, free stuff is one thing, but what if a company sees that you're doing XYZ and then they do XYZ plus some and maybe faster than you?
Yeah, I think, can I fill this one?
Yeah.
I think for us, this is where I go back to the audience and the importance of nurturing that audience and stuff. I think I'd like to stand up here and tell you that I'm a super smart businessman and we built this thing because we did everything, but I think we backed into something pretty amazing. We started building the audience first. We built trust, credibility with them. And then when we would put out certain products and stuff, and we've had people copy our products, and it has not slowed us down at all. We haven't skipped a beat when, I don't even pay attention to the noise. I just don't. I don't worry about it. I focus on, providing value for our customers and our user base. And what I've found is that you may have some that are going to go over there, but the majority of them are going to stay with you because they trust you and you're a reputable source. So I don't personally worry about putting it out there and stuff, because WordPress is open source, right? GPL, if people wanted to, they could download your code, fork it slightly, which has probably happened to a couple of people, and I know it's happened to a couple of people in here, and they can sell it, so, yeah. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a risk, but I think there's more of a risk spending more time, resources, effort, developing a full product, and having it flop than it is to get an MVP out there. And I think if you accomplish the goal, whatever that goal is, that problem that you're solving with the functionality and usability, then it'll be, might not have all the features, might not be as polished as it could be, but you're at least getting it out there and it's solving those people's problem. And so even if a competitor does, copy it and add more features, you still kind of establish yourself as someone that's solving that problem.
Yes.
You mentioned scratching your own itch as being a great way to come up with an MVP, and it's a great way to come up with blog posts that can develop into an MVP. As you have left the client services business, you no longer have itches to scratch. So what has that transition been like? And where do you find your inspiration now?
I actually still do a small percentage of client work for that reason, because I want to kind of stay in touch with what people want, and keep my skills sharp. But no, that's a really good point.
I think for us, we just listen, probably like you, listen to your audience, because the audience has grown to a point to where it does matter now. We never got our, product ideas from really clients and stuff. That was my own internal. I hear what you're saying, but because we're so involved in social media with large groups using WordPress, that we're in touch with a lot of the pain points. We listen to what their struggles are and stuff, and we mainly look to social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever they're
support's
posting.
huge. Support
is
yeah.
huge. Yeah. So thank you, Corey.
Terry, you had a question?
Jack pretty much said what I was going to say. If you've scratched all your itches and they're gone, then you look for where other people are scratching.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Terry. Man, I wish I was you.
So the Facebook groups have probably been a big help in that.
Facebook groups have been
It
massive.
has for me.
Look, I was one of the first 10 people in the first Divi Facebook group, and I watched this thing grow from that in May of 2014, with this new theme came out, and to now it has, I think that group has, almost 30,000 members in that one group. But there have splintered several other groups that 20, 15, it equals probably, the last time I looked, around 100,000 members, just in that one niche. And we're a part of all those Facebook groups. Now, we don't go sell and pitch our products in there, we try to provide a lot of value, and we listen, what are they struggling with? What are their pain points and stuff? And then we go try to solve them and stuff. So, yeah, hope that answers it. That was a great question.
Disclaimer, I do pitch my products, but only when it's relevant. if someone says, hey, how do I create a pop-up with Divi, and I happen to read the post, you bet I'm going to drop the link to my plugin that solves that problem. But yeah, there's people that will use Facebook groups to spam, and they'll just post links to like Code Canyon and stuff, and yeah, definitely don't recommend doing that. But if it legitimately solves someone's problem, then
Kenny had a question.
I'll ask later. You're actually
Oh, okay. Kenny's using his psychotic powers.
psychotic.
Psychic powers. I try to be funny probably way too much, more than I should
You
have.
gotta be a little psychotic.
Okay.
You're such a good designer.
That's right. Now I want to talk about product development. And this is huge, because if you heard my story in the very beginning, I am not a WordPress developer. I'm not even a WordPress designer, you know. How in the heck am I creating products for WordPress today? Well, you know, I found people who do know how to do those things. And I think if you're a developer, and my experience with most developers is they're not really good marketers, you know. Partner, find somebody who's a great marketer if you're a great developer, and vice versa, you know. My one recommendation to you is make sure that they know WordPress core, you know, really, really well, because you don't want to just create products that are going to create a bunch of headaches for people and stuff. You want to stay within WordPress core standards and stuff. It's very important, at least in my opinion.
yeah, and I'm kind of like this weird hybrid, and I think there's a lot of people similar to me that like, you know, I wouldn't consider myself a designer. Like I can kind of design sometimes. I'm not a coder, but I'm, you know, somewhat technical. And that's okay. You can be that type of person, because if you know enough about design, then you know enough to be able to hire a good designer. And if you know enough of the technical side, maybe you can't code yourself, but you kind of understand how WordPress works. Well then, as David mentioned, you can find someone that can code and can write plugins to WordPress core.
Yeah, and I don't know why we put this here so early in the presentation, Tim. You know, seems kind of out of place to me now that I'm talking through the flow with pricing and pricing model and stuff. But I guess it has to do with product development only. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, before you jump to the pricing, I was going to say, what resources have you guys found useful to find people who are skilled and are reliable and relatively affordable when you're starting, you know, like that earlier stages when you're building
Yeah,
your
sure,
teams
mine.
and stuff?
I've been pretty good at talent acquisition. Maybe it's one of my superpowers, I don't know. I really pay attention. You know, I watch people, and I watch what they do, and I listen. I've used social media to find people. I have hired people on Upwork, but in those same Facebook groups with 100,000 members, there's a lot of awesome people in there. And they're very helpful. And you can tell the ones that are genuinely helpful from the ones that are, when somebody posts a problem that they have, and then the first person that comments, hey, PM me, and I'm going to send you, whatever. I don't pay attention to those people. Here you go. The ones that drop the code in there, solve the problem for them, they move on, they help somebody else. I'm noticing that stuff. And then the way I started was I just private messaged them and said, hey, I see you doing some pretty awesome stuff. I'd like to know more about you, and then I find out, I ask them questions, if they're going to fit the needs that I have, and then, test them out, work with them and stuff, and try them out and stuff. It's been very successful for me.
Yeah, for me, Facebook groups have been huge, and then Upwork as well. I've helped developers through Upwork. It's kind of hit or miss, though.
Yeah. Now we've had some bad experiences too, but I mean, I think trusting your gut, your intuition, and just watching people and stuff is really important. At least for me, it has been. Any other questions before we dive off into this? So, when you're going to develop a product, how do you come up with the pricing and the pricing model? We weren't the sharpest knives in the drawer when we started in the product business, because we started selling products as one-offs, and hey, come buy our product, and you're going to get it forever, and we're going to support it forever. And, a little down the road as our user base grew, it was like, this is not a sustainable business model. We might want to rethink this because, you know, we're supporting all of these products, we're doing all of this awesome free stuff, and we only made that $7 on that plugin one time. So it was like, okay, well let's rethink about this. And I'm not really big on reinventing the wheel and stuff. I think research is good. I think look at people that are in your space and what they're doing and what they're charging and how they work and stuff, and then see if it fits with your model and stuff. So we highly recommend, you know, tiered, you know, something renewal based, because you are going to be providing support long term for these products. You know, WordPress updates constantly. There's a pretty massive shift coming up with WordPress. It's called Gutenberg. You know, I'm sure that's going to, you know, shake some things up and stuff, and you need to be able to go in and fix those. So if you know, set your pricing to where it's, you know, a recurring, you know, annual model, that's what we found has worked really best, not only for our business, but, you know, for revenue, you know, potential and growth of your company and stuff is really huge.
And sometimes a lot of people complain like, oh, I don't want another annual subscription, but you can kind of flip that around and I guess showcase the positives to that, because I've purchased a lot of products for WordPress, and then, you know, later down the road I realized that they like closed up shop, they don't exist anymore, not supporting the product. It's like, okay, well now I'm, you know, a creek without a paddle. And so when you invest in a product with an annual subscription, basically you're buying a product that is investing in the future of their product. And so that becomes a positive thing, because you know, hey, they're going to stick around, continue updating this product, adding fixes, adding features, because they want my renewal next year. And so I'm going to buy a product that I know is going to work down the road. So as David mentioned, my first few products were one-offs, lifetime updates and support. And then when I came out with my Divi Overlays pop-up builder, I decided to go more of the successful route, I guess you could say. And so I looked at Pippin Williamson. You know, he's one of the longest-standing WordPress product developers out there. And so I looked at the way that he structured his latest product, Affiliate WP, and I kind of just modeled after that. They're not the same price points, lower price points, but looked at the tiered, okay, single site, 3-site, unlimited, and lifetime, and so that's what I adopted, and you know, kind of had those different percentages. So there's obviously more value if you get unlimited than if you just buy single site. Because yeah, I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Someone else has been doing it a lot longer and has a lot of experience and success, and so yeah. And then yeah, tiered with annual is definitely the way to go for long-term growth of the plugin, for revenue, and as well as in the user's benefit too, as we talked about.
I personally modeled after a really successful WordPress company. I figured anything this guy in the front row did, watching his business grow, that I probably wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't hurt me to follow that model. And I got to tell you, it's been really, it's been great. It's been great for everybody in our company, not only my family, but all of our team members as well.
So product launch marketing. Now, some of this might seem a little counterintuitive to MVP, but it's not, and we'll talk about that. But there's a lot of plugin developers out there that will create a product, and that's it. They just kind of expect, you know, people to come and buy it without putting the right pieces in place to show off the benefits of the product and whatnot. And so these are some of the things that we recommend. The first one being really good documentation. And I've been guilty of this, where I launched a product and I was just so ready to launch. I was trying to launch in time for Black Friday, and so I kind of cut corners with the documentation, and it came back to bite me in the butt later. So launch with good documentation, because it'll help you with support. It helps the customer succeed using your product. That way they'll keep using it, recommend it to friends, and so forth. Want to jump in on that?
Well, no, I'll go into a little bit on touch on the promo videos and stuff. Video, obviously, I think video is the future. Video is really important right now. So if you're going to create products and you have that ability to create some really cool videos and stuff that showcases and highlights what it is that your product can do, and not only, I see a lot of companies, they'll put out videos and they'll be moving so fast and stuff that you can't really tell what it does. But if you solve some, you know, show them in the video how you're going to solve, focus on some of the key points and stuff, videos can be really, really big for you.
Yeah, people aren't impressed by flashy video effects anymore, so simple
And
stuff
as
better.
the Seinfeld said, there is no such thing as an attention span. There is only the quality of what you are viewing. So, go ahead, Nathan's got it.
Oh yeah, go for it.
That's been bore out by our analytics too on YouTube. We've noticed that some of our highest video views are like 30 minutes long.
Right. Yeah.
Totally just blanked on what I was going to say.
Don't worry, partner, I got you. Demos. Make sure you got the demos. Go ahead, Ted.
So, in case you didn't realize, a lot of times, or WordPress has a lot of newbie users, people that are just kind of dabbling and trying to set up a website for their own company. And so they're not super technical. They can't look at a product, especially a plugin, and look at the feature list and then be able to visualize everything that can do, be able to connect all the dots. And so that's why promo videos and demos are so important, because you can showcase what the product is capable of and really paint the picture for them. And so that has been huge for me. I spent a lot of time doing promo videos for my products and demos, and make sure they're well designed too. Not hating out there on other plugin developers, but a lot of times you'll see a plugin that will have a demo, and then you click on the demo and it's like one of the default WordPress like 2016, 2017 themes. And it might kind of show the functionality of the plugin, but it doesn't paint the picture and it doesn't look good. And so to a user to be like, oh, well, that doesn't look good, I'm not going to use that plugin, I want something that looks good. And they don't realize that they need to add their own styling and so forth. So that's something that I think is really, really important.
I agree. Great points. Any questions? All right. The questions don't have to pertain to the slides either, so if you just have questions, period. Man, that's a lot of stuff. Here's what I do want to say as I'm talking through this. You're going to realize it's a lot of work, You probably know that building websites for clients, they don't realize all the work that goes into it. Running a product business is a lot of work. It takes a lot to do it all properly and stuff. So, you want to start? I don't remember who has this slide, Tim.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So, obviously, when you create a product, you can't just expect people to buy it right away. And so, even if you kind of build your audience, there's ongoing things that you do to increase sales over time. And again, that kind of goes back to why products, because you can create it once and sell it over and over again. So if you implement some of these things, you can kind of set yourself up for long-term success with continuous revenue with the product. And so kind of highlight a couple things. Obviously, we already talked about email marketing. That's huge. Now, that doesn't mean blasting out, come buy my product once a week, but blasting out things that add value to the customer. And so for me, it's creating tutorials or new templates for my products and blasting those out. And even though those people on my list might already know about my product, they might have forgotten about it. But if I blast out, oh, hey, we just added these new templates, well, now it's top of mind again. And so, they'll go and potentially buy the product. Go for it.
Yeah, and we typically, if our target market is WordPress, or your target market is WordPress, for example, use tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, some of these, to do some keyword research and stuff. Take a look at what people are searching for. Some of our best products came from, okay, well, this has, 10,000 searches a month just for this one phrase. Well, this may be, when we looked at themes, which types of themes that we want to build, for an example. Well, we look at what are people searching for? What are the most searched WordPress themes out there? Restaurants, photography, and then all the information that you need to set up a lot of your product stuff is already out there. Just accessing it, analyzing it, taking a look at it and stuff is really, really important. Events, networking, you're at WordCamp, meet people. There's nothing better than meeting people. That helped me greatly. It changed our life, coming to WordCamps and stuff. Meeting some other product creators and stuff that I could go and talk to and pick their brain and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we met, was through, I guess we met through Facebook groups, but we met in person for the first time at WordCamp OC 2016, and now we've partnered and co-optate as we'd say. So yeah, those networking opportunities are huge. Another big thing, especially when you're starting out, is having an affiliate program. It's great for a couple of reasons. One, if people don't know about you yet, you can get your name out there and people can earn commission along the way. But then the other part of it too is backlinks. If people are linking to you with an affiliate link, that's still a backlink in Google's eyes, and so that can help you long term with SEO as well.
Yeah, and I think, I noticed we don't have up here the pixeling and stuff and all the GDPR stuff and whatnot with Facebook and everything, but all of these social platforms, they're, you want to do these things immediately, even if you're not in the product business. Get the pixels on, start analyzing your traffic and stuff, because if you ever get into a place where you want to build products and stuff and market to them, you'll be able to create those audiences on those social platforms so that you can run ads to them and stuff, and that's somewhat of a warm audience as opposed to cold. Yes, sir.
Funny thing is with young people, a lot of them aren't on email anymore. They really rely on text messaging. Have you guys experimented at all with creating text message lists?
I haven't done anything with text messaging, but one thing that David's been doing is the push notifications in browsers, which I think is kind of another avenue.
Shocked me. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I decline all that every time I go to a site. Block. I click block instantly. And we put push notifications on our website just to try it out because, hey, people may want to get push notifications from us. And our push I hadn't checked it in a while, I'm going to be honest. It's been a couple of months. It's been more than a couple of months. But within after the first 30 days, we had like 10,000 people opted in to get push notifications to our website. So every time we post a new blog post, every time we do something on our website, they're sitting at their computer, they get this little fly-in thing that says, hey, Ask and Grow Studio just posted a blog post, go read this. Now, I wish I could tell you that I've dove off into the analytics, but what you're going to find out when you're in a product business that you're very busy, you wear many hats, and we haven't solved all of the pain points inside of our own company. So it's important. I think it's the future. Chatbots, messaging, text, push notifications, all that stuff it's going to be a mobile world before we know it, and people won't even know use their phones for everything.
Yeah, I think another way to alleviate that, is give them a reason to want to open your email. So if you're providing, freebies and really good tutorials or content, whatever it may be, even though they might not, as a habit, subscribe to email lists or whatever, if you give them a reason to, and there's real value there, then I think people will subscribe. You want to say something?
Just a quick note on push notifications. So Elegant Themes, we've been building an email list for the past 5 years. We started building a push notification list for the past 3 months, and within the next month, the size and the engagement from our push notifications will exceed our email list.
Is that like the one signal in your browser?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have a pretty large email list too. So
so it's a bit of a push notification gold rush right now.
Nice.
Throwing that out there.
well then, hey, maybe that's the reason for our growth this year. Maybe it's that little push notification that I put on the site, because our sales on our products, I keep thinking it's because we're producing great content and stuff, but maybe it's the push notifications, I need to go dig into the analytics just to see. But yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it's pretty amazing times we live in and stuff.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to touch on this slide is the creating content. Content is king, not just for search engines, but for the user as well. And so it does a couple things. If you're creating content, you're building trust. People can see that, hey, you're credible, you know what you're talking to, and therefore when they need a problem solved, then they'll come and find your product. Daryl, you had a question?
Yeah, where do you guys get your, do you have a content writer? How do you go about finding one? Because I just don't have the time to write it, but I need it. But
So I'm actually in kind of the midst of that right now. So I previously did all the tutorials myself, and so I would write a tutorial, do a YouTube video, and so because of that, I have very few tutorials because they're very time consuming. But I have someone She actually reached out to me, and so she's going to be helping with that. But yeah, David and Corey, they built a pretty big content strategy with multiple writers.
Yeah, we hired a full-time content manager 2 years. It'll be 2 years she's been with us on July 1st. She's phenomenal. I just put out an ad. I blasted out in the Facebook group and said, hey, we're looking for a content writer, and I just interviewed her.
I mean, also, how do you go about like paying them? Do you pay them like per article?
It depends. I had a really great content mentor, Nathan Weller. He manages the Elegant Themes blog, which how many readers do y'all have a month now? 1.2 million. So I figured, hey, what they're doing is working. Maybe I could pick his brain and stuff. And he kind of gave me some points on hiring and pay. And then I just, you know, whenever I interviewed them, I asked them. Anywhere from what?
Blog post.
Yeah, it was.
Blog post on them.
What's that?
Make a blog post on
Oh
them.
yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. Anywhere from 10 to 25 cents a word, I guess, or was it 15?
Sure. I mean, well, back when I started blogging, I think the kind of standard was 10 cents a word, and then it slowly rose. I think that'd be pretty low now.
Right. Yeah. We've never paid that 10 cents,
yeah.
by the way. So.
That was like back in 2009.
Right.
When you was like basically do it for free,
yeah.
as often as you get paid for it. But yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, some people pay per blog article, flat rates.
We now do that for community submissions.
Yeah.
$250 per post.
$250 per post. So we have always paid per word. Still, actually, our in-house content writers are on salary, so they don't, they don't do by words anymore. They make a guaranteed income every single month.
Actually, I have a question, Nathan. What was the reason for the switch from going from per word to per article?
Well, because the main switch was actually to salaried staff members, and so we found that. Well, my philosophy has been that if somebody's chasing a per word paycheck, they're more interested in volume than they are in quality.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there's only so many topics you can cover that are important to your business. And if those aren't the best possible articles that you can get, you're shortchanging yourself. And if you're also hiring the same writers that everybody else is hiring, you're going to get what we call spun content, which is people who are making the most of their time by writing about the same topics in slightly different words over and over again. And Google will penalize you for that. And not directly, but in terms of like which content they prioritize, they're going to pick the most unique and highest quality one. And if yours is very similar to everybody else's, they're going to go, it's just white noise.
Right, yeah.
I think you just helped me make a decision.
And then you also have to hire an editor, which is a whole other paycheck.
Yeah. I was thinking I was coming here to share with you guys, but you might have just solved something that I was concerned about. I didn't even know it until you just verbalized it.
One more thing. So when you hire them, do you make them provide? Do you provide the images? Do you tell them? Can you use your common sense to kind of find something reputable to what we're talking about? In this
Well,
blog
we have guidelines of what we expect from our writers, what the images need to look like. I mean, you need to map out your process. So process mapping is important all the way along the lines in every aspect of your business and stuff. So, go ahead.
Well, so when I think of a blogger, one thing that I think of a rule of thumb is like a good blogger is a bare minimum barrier to entry is that they're a good writer. On top of that, for WordPress, they need to be technically competent in WordPress. They need to have some visual sense. They need to know how to, take a complicated topic and simplify it. So those are all more intangible skills, but you can only get that by doing a couple trial articles.
Right. That's right. Yeah, and look at their articles, testing and stuff. That's what we did. We have a phenomenal content manager, and she's got a degree in English. She was not a WordPress person. She was not a technical person, but she was a very good writer, and she did great research, and we helped her out. We proofed everything that she wrote. We made sure that it was sound and right, if it was tutorial based that we were doing and stuff, and then we put it out there. So, we're going to the next slide.
So we actually didn't really plan this exact slide. Dave and I put together an outline, and then one of his fabulous designers made it pretty, and so she added this in. So it wasn't originally part of her plan, but we figured it was still worth talking about here, about Facebook. So these are some stats about Facebook. We're not going to read them all for time's sake, and we don't want to bore everyone with stats. But basically, the point is Facebook is huge. There's 2.2 billion people using Facebook. David and I have talked about Facebook groups and the power of it. We're going to talk a little bit about Facebook ads as well. But the point is, Facebook is a great place to grow a product business. Anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I mean, I guess if we're talking about Facebooks and stuff, and you're going to create a product business, create a group. 100% of your message gets to that group. Whereas not 100% of your message gets to your fans, your followers, your friends. Only in the groups is it. So Facebook is pretty powerful with the groups and stuff. We added this slide last minute.
I can't remember what we were supposed to talk about on this one.
I think it's YouTube, Tim. It's YouTube.
Sorry, that joke was cheesy, and the worst part is that joke is actually planned too. So.
It's even funnier there.
But YouTube is a great place to grow a product business because it's actually the #2 search engine in the world. People search for anything, how to build a website, how to do this. And so I kind of stumbled upon the effects of YouTube by accident. I was creating tutorials for my blog posts, but naturally just putting them on YouTube without really planning on getting any traffic from it. But I get a lot of traffic from YouTube, which then, as a result, turns into sales as well. So yeah, YouTube is huge. It's free, and it's a great place to put content out there and get traffic in return. Sorry, Tim. David's a little distracted, apparently.
I'm doing the Academy Awards, so. Come on, Tim. Over here.
Using us.
There you go. Marketing. GDPR, that's right. That's a good one.
What is that release for?
I will say that we prepped this pre-GDPR, so we won't be talking much about GDPR. But if you have questions, we will answer them on GDPR and stuff. YouTube, Tim's right, super fantastic #2 search engine in the world. I think something that we're shifting to, or we're going to test out, it's a theory. I think it's a great idea. We recently launched our first course, and it's around CSS and jQuery, teaching people CSS and jQuery, specifically around Divi, because that's where our audience is. But what I found out was that I knew that our audience really loved the products side of things. What I didn't expect was the yearn to learn. I was blown away by the amount of people that signed up for our first course with no marketing, not really doing an MVP to find out, because we had a course planned. So now, what's happened to me is once we built the LMS out, I thought, holy cow. Thank you, kind sir.
It's our 30-minute warning.
Yeah, 30-minute warning. Once we built the LMS out, I thought, man, this platform is pretty amazing. I mean, there's so much you can do with an LMS. I had no idea. We had never built an LMS before because we weren't into courses or anything like that. And I think I pretty much talked my partner over there into testing out with some of our new products and stuff to start using YouTube along with our documentation, as opposed to doing the standard wall of text, click here, do this, do that, and we're gonna basically turn every single one of our products into a free course. And we're gonna put them on YouTube, and we're gonna have them on an LMS on the website. And then my thinking is that it's gonna lessen our support, because we're doing video tutorials on how to use our products, how to install them, how to use special features that are built into our products, maybe even show them some demos and stuff. 1 second there, I will. And also, it's going to get indexed by Google. They love, it's going to be more content, so it may actually push some of our on-the-fence potential customers, when they see this course that's provided for this product and really what it can do. I see it as a win-win. I don't see how it can lose, but I'll let you know. I think it's going to be a really good thing. Daryl?
Another thing I've seen these guys advertise on my channel all the time, those get rich quick, drop shipping, lifestyle, all that stuff. So they basically create content that's similar to the product need, but without actually selling it. So they'll say like, like drop shipping, things to look for, like products to look out for, etc. And they keep making videos similar to it, and then the course is actually available on their website. So they don't really teach anything on those videos they're making, but they kind of make it's like a taste of it, like a mixture of it, and then people are like, I want to learn more, and then they go, check out the course.
Yeah, well, we're gonna give the whole ball.
Yeah, they all do that.
Yeah.
And these guys, they come and go, but some are still successful and they do it. But.
Yeah, we're gonna give the whole ball of wax away. They're gonna watch it on
so
YouTube.
You can do like tips for CSS for this, and then just small, maybe like tiny parts of your course in those videos, and then they're gonna want to learn more about CSS.
Yeah, this specifically is about our products, though. So, our installation process is going to be a video walkthrough tutorial on how to install our product. You're going to have the written readme doc text, but it's also going to be our latest theme, which was a nonprofit, which integrated with, WooCommerce, events, donations, Give WP, events calendar, obviously WooCommerce. Well, they may not need all of that, so they may want, they may not know how to set up WooCommerce, taxes, shipping, what all. And we just put it all in there, put it for free on YouTube. It's going to be great relevant content. And if they're interested, great. Yes?
So you find that the tutorial videos about installing your products that are not sales oriented are driving sales?
We haven't done it yet.
I've been doing it, and again, it was kind of not intentional, but I was creating product documentation, written tutorials along with the video, put them on YouTube, put them in a playlist called Divi Overlays, and it was driving traffic from YouTube over to my website because for example, it was how to build a pop-up for Divi using Divi Overlays, and it was a tutorial just for my product. They have to own my product in order to follow the tutorial, but they were finding it on YouTube. Again, it wasn't really sales related, it wasn't promotional. It was just a product documentation tutorial, but then it was people were finding it and then saying, oh, hey, this looks cool, and then buying it. So it was kind of indirect. And I think that almost helps because it wasn't salesy. It wasn't like people, like one of my favorite sayings of all time is people love to buy, but they hate being sold to. And so that is like a perfect example because I wasn't trying to sell them anything, but then they went and bought because they thought it looked good.
Solving the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. Precisely.
Well, it helps to have someone that's very entertaining as well doing the videos. SJ's doing these videos, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It does not hurt to have somebody that people like to watch on video.
Shout out to Daryl Wilson in the house. He has a lot of awesome videos, and I think that a big key is talking fast, huh? Keeping people engaged.
It's talking fast, but also you're an entertainer at the same time. They don't like to watch you. They're not interested in just gonna, walk away because some developers might know more than I do, but they just have a very bad way of presenting it.
Right.
So people are just like, this guy's boring. I'm gonna watch somebody else.
Yeah.
Or they watch someone that is entertaining, like, oh, this guy's cool. I like him. It helps build an audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, product support. This is huge. Obviously, you can't just build a product and sell it and then be done with it. You have to support those customers. And so our biggest recommendation is hire someone as quickly as possible. And so my beginning days when I first started doing products, I was doing everything myself. And at the end of the day, I realized I'm nothing more than like a tech support person in my own company. And so that was keeping me from being able to add new features to the products, come up with new product ideas, do any other marketing. And so nothing wrong with being a support tech, but that's not why I started the company and created products.
Step 2 is read step 1, and step 3 is hire somebody as quickly as possible. It's very important. Yes.
So you talked about all the marketing and advertising pieces before. Is product support your recommended first hire?
Yeah,
First hire.
absolutely.
So get that out of the way so that you guys can then focus
He's
on.
not here, but another support person recommended that. And we were doing like Tim. We were supporting our own products, and I mean, it was killing us. It didn't allow us to grow the company, so, yeah.
How do you hire good product support?
Yeah, so for me, it was a Facebook group. And so because all my products are Divi based, there's a lot of Divi Facebook groups, and so that in and of itself kind of helped because I was able to find people that knew Divi and were good with Divi. In fact, there's actually a Divi Freelancers for Hire group, and that's actually how I found my full-time support person. So that, I think, is a good place to start. There's WordPress, broad WordPress Facebook groups. Yeah, beyond that.
Yeah, we found through Facebook as well. I personally watched people because technical skill is important in that part. They need to have some aptitude for the technical aspects of WordPress, but they need to have good people skills too, because it's your brand they're representing. You really need to find somebody that you can trust because they're representing your brand. Sorry, Tim, but we have the greatest support person in the world. His name is Pablo, and he's a brand. They're basically brand ambassadors for you and stuff. So that is not only, you know, something that we recommend first, but also getting the right person is really important. It's not something that you want to take lightly and stuff. So, yes.
Where do you recommend having that support in like terms of a forum? Because I used a plugin years ago, and I went with a third-party forum that I ran off my site, you know, forum or support.whatever. But then I noticed that, you know, at the time, WordPress on the plugin page had a support form right there, and competitors used that. I don't know which one really responded better, but do you have a preference or?
I noticed that a lot of big plugin developers were moving away from forums. And so I kind of just, again, not to reinvent the wheel, wanted to just kind of follow their lead. I already gave Pippin Williamson a shout out, but he was on the Divi Nation podcast with Nathan, and so he talked about Help Scout, and I was like, hey, he's been doing this for 10 years, I'm going to follow his lead. So I started using Help Scout. And the benefits of Help Scout is, to the user, it looks just like informal email back and forth. And then on my end, it's a ticketing system. And so it's really simple, it's not complicated. I think the forums, from what I've heard, it sounds good in theory because you could have your other customers helping other customers, but I read an article, I forgot who it was, but basically it sounds good in theory, but it wasn't actually happening in reality. And so ended up happening is there would be forum posts that wouldn't get answered and stuff, and they found out that their paid employees were the only ones actually answering them anyways, and so it made sense just to go to like a help.
And then you're having to like censor content. The problem too with a forum is more often than not they're like self-hosted, so you got to think if you're hosting a forum, over time you have like people uploading screenshots and files and things like that, and it's gonna just just get massive, like all these old support tickets sitting on your server or even a dedicated server. So a third-party solution for us after a while was the best decision we made as far as that goes.
Help Scout's really great. And you can turn with those third-party platforms like Help Scout, because we use Help Scout too. You can turn some of your most frequently asked things into FAQs. They make that it's seamless. Turn this into a frequently asked question, and then it auto populates in your knowledge base and stuff for your documentation.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Continuous improvement, innovation. Obviously, you're going to want to act, plan, do, analyze, and then repeat. That's basically what you're going to be doing with your product business and stuff. Existing products, you're going to want to fix bugs, add new features, enhancements, add-ons. Sometimes it makes sense not to enhance products that you have because there's just not that big of an interest in it. So what you're going to do is when you build products and stuff, you're going to find out what your best sellers are, where you need to focus your attention and stuff, and then you may pull back. It's not that you're going to deprecate or delete products that you have, but you may leave them in their existing condition and not future development and stuff. But by doing this, just kind of constantly analyzing your products and stuff, it's going to end up benefiting you.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of continuing to surprise and delight your existing customers. And so someone that's already paid for the product, not just focusing on new customers, new sales, but coming out with new features that they get for free. That way they're using the product for years to come. They're going to renew at the end of the year subscription period, as well as recommend it to people. And so for an example, I mentioned one of my products, Divi Overlays. It's a pop-up builder. When I launched it, it was purely click-based pop-ups. So customer clicks, pops open, contact forms, whatever. But then a lot of customers saying, okay, I want the automatic triggers and exit intent and all of that. And so I basically added all those features in and relaunched it almost as if it was a new plugin, but all the existing customers got the update for free. Now, free updates is nothing new, but the idea of continuing to surprise and delight your customers, new templates or new tutorials for the product, you're not remonetizing them at that moment, but you're creating long-term fans.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, I'm going to throw something in here that's not in here because I think it's important. It's been huge for us. People love bundles. They love memberships and bundles. Tim and our relationship started on a bundle. We bundled a couple of our products originally, and I mean, it's just been insane how users will soak up bundles. We recently moved to a membership, platform where they can purchase all of our products, new and old, as one-offs, a la carte, or they can purchase our membership, and they can get all of them for an annual price or a lifetime price. And I'm going to tell you right now on camera, Facebook Live, lifetime is not. I would, because recurring renewals are so, the percentage is so high, I don't even want to do lifetime offers anymore. Just the annual renewals, they're huge. So if you, incentives to create new products, if you bundle them and put them in a membership, you keep increasing the value of that membership. It's a really, really, really big thing. And it gives you incentive to create new products and stuff too, because it's going to add value to this piece of your company and stuff. So, yeah.
One more on that topic, and then also on the subject of surprising and delighting your customers. My renewal rate for my bestseller is like at about 70%, which is higher than industry standards. And I think a big part of that is because adding new features in and continuing to delight the customer. And for that reason, as David mentioned, lifetime doesn't make sense. Like when you do the numbers, lifetime is hurting you long term. But yeah, so.
Yeah, initially we thought it was great. Hey, we'll get 5 times annual, I'd be willing to do that. But now my whole thinking and mind has shifted away from that. I feel like, if the recurring and the renewals are so high that it's really hurting us more than helping us. And I want to just put it so high that, you know what, you can have it if you want it. It's here. Go ahead and buy it, but I really don't want you to buy it. I want you to, get on the annual plan and stuff, which is not a bad deal.
Now that you guys are creating your own products and have recurring members, you're creating the itches that you kind of referred to at the beginning yourselves. How do you prioritize adding new features versus creating entirely new products? And ultimately, how has having an existing product base, has that affected like the quality of your MVPs?
You want to go first? Yeah, I think it's that's a hard balance. Yeah, trying to add enhancements and new features to a product while also simultaneously come out with new products. I don't have an exact answer on like how to do that. I think it comes down to a product is already doing well. I don't want to stifle the growth. I want to keep that going and keep people happy so that they'll renew, as well as, and in my case, I don't have a membership yet, so it would be renewals on that single product. And then, want people to keep talking about it and being popular, in the community. But then also, being able to come up with a new product, because as it says here, it's a lot easier to sell an additional product to an existing customer than it is to acquire new customers. Because an existing customer, they already know you, they trust you, they've already purchased from you before, so they're a lot more likely to buy something else than someone that's never heard of you. So I mean, it definitely is a balance. I don't know if I know the exact right answer to that, but.
I think for us, because we do have a membership, that kind of dictates somewhat. It depends on what your goals are for your business, your overall goals. So if your overall goal is to find that one product, number 87, that knocks it out of the park, or if it's to continue to provide value in the membership, you know, I think for us, it makes a lot of sense to maintain existing products, add a lot of value to our memberships because that's our focus long term. And then when we do have great products that come along, we continue to enhance them. How do we prioritize them? For us, I wish I could say, well, we have this method, but it's basically, if the customers are screaming really loud, put the brakes on over here, you know, put this fire out and stuff, you know. And if the customers aren't screaming, you know, then we focus over here. You know, it just kind of, that's our balancing act.
But new features can be a marketing tool as well, because you can market those new features and get people that are like, ooh, you know, that's kind of the icing on the cake. Now I'm going to go buy that product.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't have a set pat answer. I mean, look, in all reality, we're still really new at it. You know, in the product game business, we've only been doing it for 2 years, you know, and pretty much 2 years. No, 3 years, sorry, 2015. So here's some things. I mean, this is really, really important when people are buying your product. Ask them, you know, get reviews, testimonials and stuff. Here's something that I learned about and stuff. You can't really control what people write on the internet about you. Not even on Facebook. Your reviews, you can't control them. So that number one first hire, how important that was, is huge. Because people are going to leave reviews and testimonials for you if they're happy customers and stuff. I don't want to brag, but I'm going to brag on Pablo because he is so awesome. Maybe I'm not going to brag on Pablo because I'm afraid somebody's going to go ruin Pablo's perfect record just to be a internet troll. You know, I forgot we were Facebook Living there. But you know, it's really, really important, and it can help you because people are coming and they're reading reviews. I don't know about you. When you guys buy something, you all go out and read reviews before you do? Everybody does it these days. I do. So it's really, really important that you know, get them and nurture them and stuff.
Yeah. Testimonials, reviews are huge. They can be kind of difficult to get. A lot of times it's when a customer writes them support and solve their problem, and then they say, oh, thank you so much, like, love the product, and you can be like, oh, okay, well, will you go do a review? Yeah. Something I did that helped was I wanted to do a customer like showcase contest of basically to choose a winner, they win a prize, whoever basically had the best design pop-up or whatever with my plugin. And so I did a contest, had people submit their entry, and then after they submit, I said, hey, do you want to leave a review? And so it already got them onto the site to submit their entry. And there's also another box to like leave feedback, feature requests. And so they're already filling out the form. And so it was easy for them to like leave that review. And so it was kind of I didn't really plan it that way, but it ended up being a really good strategy to get those reviews. However, I'm not practicing what I preach because I recently migrated my store from WooCommerce to Easy Digital Downloads. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I haven't yet migrated all of my reviews that were on WooCommerce onto Easy Digital Downloads, and so I don't have any social proof. And it's every time I look at it, it reminds me that I'm failing because it's so important.
Tim, you want to talk about it? It's very important to continue to optimize your website and improve things. We're going to talk about a couple of conversion tools that we use on our websites and stuff. Oh wow, 10 minutes, Tim. How many slides we got left?
Only a few.
Okay. Jilt's a great, it's abandoned cart, fantastic. Wish we would have used it day one. Ahoy is amazing. Met him at WordCamp US last year. Daniel Iser, I believe is his name. Holy cow. Conditional logic built into this thing is so powerful. We put it in on our website in January of this year, I think January the 28th. It had converted by the end of February, 5 weeks later, $18,000 in sales. Now,
It's only because my face pops up.
yeah, we put Corey's innocent face down there, and it has exit intent, and it's a marketing tool that you can use for conversion based on what they do on their site, exit intent, all this stuff. It's very powerful. Can't recommend them enough. We're going to do a tutorial on it because I just love the product. It's phenomenal. Go, Tim. Let's see what else we got in the slides.
I had a question on reviews. How do you get people to put in good reviews? Because typically if somebody is satisfied with a product or service, they're not going to put a review in. But if they have a bad experience or hate it, they're going to put a negative review in.
This is why a support person is important.
Because they can start writing those reviews when they got nothing to do.
Well, the support person, no. The support person is your front line of defense against the really, really unhappy customers. So a good support person is going to solve the problem, nurture that customer, turn them around into a happy customer, and then ask them, hey, if you're happy with this, would you do me a favor? It means a lot, my job. Can you please go leave us a review? You will be surprised at how many people who are pissed off because their stuff's not working will go and leave you a 5-star review and somebody in support has solved their problem immediately. It's happened a lot in our, that's what we have found to be very successful as far as reviews go. As soon as you solve them, you help them, you ask them, hey, do you mind helping me out? Can you leave our company a review? You know, and again, you can't control those. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question.
I think you can incentivize them too. Obviously, you don't want to like pay people for good reviews, but if you say, hey, we're going to give you, you know, this freebie, whatever, leave a review, good or bad. We just want more reviews. Chances are, if you have happy customers, they're going to go and leave good reviews. So I think that can help. And then what I mentioned before, where I it's kind of indirectly incentivize people to come to the website to submit their site for a showcase, and then in the process ask them for a review. So that seemed to work well for me.
Yeah, we gotta get the recommended tools and plugins down.
So yeah, this isn't like a absolutely the only way to go, but these are some of the tools and plugins that have helped us, and we've kind of built our business around through trial and error. The first one on the list is easy digital downloads. Now I mentioned a few minutes ago that I started on WooCommerce and I recently migrated to EDD. Love WooCommerce. It powers 30% of all online stores, so obviously it's a really great product. But it's built for physical products for the most part. You can do digital products, but it's not built for doing annual subscriptions with digital products and licensing and upgrades and all of that. Where Easy Digital Downloads is made by plugin developers for plugin developers, and so can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, plus EDD has built in their own updater, so if you want to update your plugins and stuff, they've already thought about all that stuff. It's just a really, really powerful plugin. Help Scout, we've already talked about. Affiliate WP, which is another Pippin Williamson plugin. Obviously, we're big Pippin Williamson fans. You know, but you want to have that stuff in place, and it's just one of the best affiliate plugins out there. Jill Ahoy, we've already talked about.
Yeah, MailChimp, GetResponse. I use MailChimp. David used GetResponse. Obviously, there's 100 other email marketing platforms out there, and they all have comparable features. I like MailChimp because EDD has a direct integration with it. So when someone buys a product, it'll update your email list, and so then you can do different segmenting based off of what products people have purchased.
Yeah, GetResponse is just what we chose. We started out with MailChimp, and our email list just kept growing, and there was a few things that I just didn't like about MailChimp. That was probably lack of understanding on my part that it could do some things differently. But, you know, GetResponse is great. That's what we use.
Yeah, Pixel Your Site Pro. Now, without getting into the whole GDPR argument, Facebook Pixel, if you plan on doing Facebook ads, you want to have the Facebook Pixel on your site. And so you can start building that data, so then when you want to retarget your customers, you can. There's a lot of ways to do it. You can do it manually with code. Pixel Your Site Pro makes it easy, especially with e-commerce, because you want to be able to report back to Facebook when a customer purchased so that they can count it as a conversion. Because if you just drop the Facebook Pixel into your header.php file, then it's not going to do that extra tracking.
Monster Insights Pro's e-commerce tracking, this one's a really good one, because it will link up your Google Analytics with your e-commerce store, and you can really track. You know, it makes it really, really easy to do.
So then you can see like what countries, for example, you get the most revenue from, or what referral partners, you know, what websites are linking to you that are generating the most revenue.
We already talked about one signal push notifications. Thirsty Affiliates Pro. This is an affiliate marketing plugin. What I really like about it is the cloaked URLs, but what I love about it is the auto insertion of the affiliate link attached to specific words. So elegant themes, for example, anytime we post elegant themes on our website, it automatically attaches our affiliate link to it. And that's big because you don't want to have to keep copying and pasting things. Yoast.
Yeah, we have Yoast on here. Obviously, this isn't just a general WordPress plugin recommendation list. We have Yoast on here because if you're creating products, having good SEO best practice is important, and so have a good SEO plugin that's going to give you the proper title tags and so forth. And then GitHub and Bitbucket are on here as well. I use GitHub. David and his team use Bitbucket.
Use both.
Use both, okay. But versioning is really important. Up until about 3 months ago, I wasn't using GitHub or any type of versioning, and my developer would send me the new version, and I would test it. She wouldn't bump the version number, and it would be really confusing on what version was what. And so, yeah, versioning is really important, especially when you have multiple people working on the product at the same time.
Yeah. What else is next? Nothing? That's it? Oh, man. It's almost perfect. We got 3 minutes left.
3 minutes left if there's any additional questions. Obviously, we did questions.
Why don't you tell them about your Bitbucket experience, Tim?
Yeah, so David told me all about Bitbucket, and I thought it sounded cool. It's cheaper than GitHub, and so I typed it in. I was like, oh, is it bitbucket.com? I was like, yeah. So I typed it in, but I accidentally typed in butt bucket. The I and the U on the keyboard are right next to each other, and so cleverly they bought that domain and put up a clever saying, and then had a link that went to the official Bitbucket.
We're sure you weren't searching for this domain. Now you can auto check out that landing page because it is pretty legit. Tim and I just launched WPGears.com. We're going to be producing a lot of, well, not Tim and I, or Tim and I, Aspen Grove Studios and Divi Life. WP the podcast, go check us out, listen to us. If you got any topic ideas, let us know.
Oh, and if you want the slides by any chance, you can download them. We'll put it at wpgears.com/slides. And then
that's kind of, yeah. Why don't we do WordCamp Orange County 2018? Are that slides? Go to slides. We'll redirect it. That's easier.
I was trying to make it simple, but
yeah. Well, I was thinking.
Put it on a page where you can collect our email addresses first and then send them. Come on, guys.
I love the way this man thinks.
We'll make sure we have all the GDPR checkboxes in.
Yeah.
Are you really sure?
Thank you all for sitting through an hour and a half. How did we do? It's our first like. All the people I told will be outside.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah.